So your car has your ABS light on and you want to figure out why. So in this video, we will go over general diagnostic procedures for ABS code. So our light is on, so we're going to grab our scanner, plug it in, and we see on our ABS unit, it is reading the right rear wheel speed circuit. So what we're going to do is we're going to first go to our right rear wheel and just look at the wiring, look at the exterior of the sensor if possible, and see if we see any physical damage. Then we will check the wiring circuit very simply by checking for power. We should either have 5 volts or full battery voltage. It depends on your system design. And then after we confirm or not if we have power, we will see if that signal will return back to the computer where we should have ground. And then we will ohm our sensor. And then we will be able to tell what is the cause. Is it wiring? Is it a sensor? What's causing our failure? So let's get into it. So now we are down here at our wheel speed sensor. It gave us a code for right rear. I've already pulled that assurance tab off and I want you to see something. So we're pulling our connector off. Now look in here. You see that grease in there? So we already know that they have probably had an issue with this thing before because somebody has packed this with grease. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take our multimeter and we'll check our ohms inside that sensor on those 2 pins and see what we have. So let us set that up. So now what we've done is we have alligator clips on our 2 pins there, and they're going down to our jumper wire, and they're going into our voltmeter, our digital voltmeter, and we have it set on ohms, and we are seeing 0 reading there. So that is a problem because this sensor should have resistance in it. Even though there isn't power going into it right now, we should see resistance on our meter. So that is an issue. Now we will double check our connections, which I'm sure are good, but we don't have any reading there. So we've double checked our connections and we still have no reading. So what I'll do is we'll just disconnect our jumper wires and make sure our meter is functioning correctly. So we'll just touch both of our leads together and make sure we see. So we do have continuity. So our meter is working. Let's cut our buzzer on here. I like that. So we are good there. So what I'm gonna do now is, because I know this sensor is not reading, I'm going to carefully pull it out, which will be a little bit of a pain in this spot, but we will get it out and then we will take a look at it and see if it has any physical damage to it. So now we are at our sensor, and we know with this wiring, one of these pins should have power. So what we want to do is check and see, do we have power there? So we have one end of our meter hooked up to a good ground, which is going to be our exhaust. And then we're going to we have our jumper wire in there, and we're going to take and hook the other end up to our meter and see, do we have power? We are reading battery voltage there. So that lets us know that we do have power there. So power is coming into our sensor. So we most likely know the integrity of our wiring is fine. And to complete that circuit, because we know if we have power, we should have ground. So that'll test all of our wiring in this circuit right here. And we had about 11.7 volts. So let us go to connection our ground, and we have 11.7 volts there. So we know that our wiring is good. So since we know that our sensor does not have a complete circuit in there, we are going to remove this sensor carefully and then see if it has any physical damage to it. Okay, so I want you all to see that we're pulling our sensor out and we can see it has actual physical damage to it. Like it is broken. Like, you see that there? So, see if we'll focus in. So, this is our problem here, the fact that this sensor is broken. And I think it may get broken some more trying to pull it out, but I wanted to get this on camera here before we do any further damage while trying to extract it. So let's get it out. So we were able to get it out, and you can see there's a physical crack in it there. That is most likely giving us why we had a no ohm reading in there due to that physical damage. So what we're going to do is get another sensor, plug it in, and then road test it, and that should get our ABS light off. But we will also ohm test our new sensor before we put it in, just so you can see the difference between a good sensor and a bad one. So what I just wanted to do was, we have our sensor in the vise. We have our jumper wires hooked up to it. So we're gonna wiggle it and see if it starts to make a connection. If it starts to ohm out. Whoa, I think we almost. Now we've kind of placed it back together and it wants to read, but if we move it, it doesn't. So this is definitely our cause for that erratic reading. And why was it damaged? It could have got damaged by somebody doing rear brakes on it. Could have got damaged by somebody doing a parking brake on it. It could have just developed a crack over time and just got worse and worse as water got into it. But I believe it has suffered some type of physical damage. So you need to determine that cause of why it was physical damaged before you just put a new one in. But the whole goal of this video is just doing a general ABS diagnosis. So we will take it one step further and determine what caused the physical damage, and so it won't happen in the future. But I'm pretty sure this was damage from somebody doing brakes on the vehicle. So what we'll do is we'll get our new sensor, and like I said before, we will show you the ohm reading on the new sensor. So we went out and got a new OEM sensor. This is the part number for this sensor, but it doesn't really matter because I didn't say what type of vehicle this is on. So let us turn our voltmeter on to ohms and see we are reading. So we got about 380 ohms. So that is good. So you see we have a reading. So that is great. So we have determined that our old sensor was physically damaged from the way the previous brakes were removed or installed. So we know what caused our physical damage. So we are safe to install it, and then we'll clear our code and road test. Now, one thing I will note, if you look at our hole there where our sensor goes, it is nice and cruddy. So what we're going to do is take this wire brush on a right angle drill and clean that out some and blow it out, just so we can get our sensor seated in there safely without cracking or breaking it. Because it's pretty robust, but if you bend it or crack it, you could damage the sensor on installation, and that's not what we want. We've already determined our problem and got the part to fix it, so we don't want to damage it while we're installing it. So if you have this style sensor, I would highly recommend you clean the hole out before you reinstall it. So we cleaned out our hole, we got our sensor installed. It actually made it a lot better. We've also blew out this connector to get some of that, what I assume to be dielectric grease. but I'm not 100%. So we've got our sensor just sitting, our wiring connector just sitting on there. So we'll push it in first, and it's fully engaged. And then we'll push it down a little bit more. Then now you push your assurance tab on. So now our wire there is all good on our new sensor. So we'll let the vehicle down, go up top, clear our code, road test it, and make sure our noise, not our noise, but our ABS light is off. So we are in our vehicle. We will save our codes. Now we're gonna clear them. So clear all codes. So our codes are cleared. Now we'll go into ABS data. So we're in ABS data. Let's go to right rear. We're reading 0 now. So let us fire it up. And let us see. So because we're in the ABS module, the ABS light is going to be flashing. But we're just going to make sure we're getting a signal from the right rear wheel speed sensor, and then we'll stop and go out of the ABS module, and you'll see us driving with the light off. So let's see, are we seeing something here? So let me back off the hoist. So the one highlighted is the right rear in black. And it looks like it is reading. So we're still. So we will. We are seeing a signal. Everything's going good, and actually we are driving now and the ABS light is off as well. So everything is going well here for us. Here, let me pause. So like I said, so we will back out of the ABS control module now, and so we are out, and we will just drive for a few moments and see if it resets that code. So we're gonna get up to about 30 miles an hour because that is the speed limit, but that is more than enough to reset the ABS code if it was one. So we're going 30. So that is enough. So if it, I think we're pretty safe because you see we don't have an ABS light pop back on, but we're gonna go back to the shop and do another code scan. So we're back in the shop, key on, engine off. Let's run another code scan, and we'll do this as a post. And by the way, we are using a Snap-on Triton D8. Snap-on Triton D8. So let's let this code scan run. So our code scan is done running, and you can see in our ABS module we have 0 codes. So this vehicle is fixed. Thank you all for following along. White One Auto, out.